Okay, in this lesson what we're going to do is we're going to answer question 1 to the quiz. And so what we're being asked to find is g prime of 2. G prime of -2 to be precise. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do it one step at a time, and I'm going to teach you how to break it up into smaller steps so that you can prevent making errors, okay? All right, well the first thing we know is that this is a quotient, so we have to use the quotient rule. So we're going to use our little ditty here, low d high minus high d low all over low low. So let's go ahead and do that. So what I do is I write g prime of x equals, and I'm going to create a large quotient bar here because it's most likely going to be large. So I take low, which is f of x, times d high. Now rather than work it all out at once, I'm literally just going to write this, d dx of x, f of 5x cubed, just like that, minus high x, f of 5x cubed, times d low, so d dx of f of x, all over low low. So I'll write that out.
High school teachers, you're going to meet right now in Mrs. Doherty's room. High school teachers, thank you.
Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this part right here and I'm going to do this individually. So let's go ahead and do that together. So if I take the derivative with respect to x of x times f of 5x cubed, then I have to use the product rule. So first times the derivative of the second. So this becomes x times the derivative of the second, which is f of 5x cubed, plus the second times the derivative of the first, f of 5x cubed times the derivative of x. All right, well this isn't going to be too bad. This is the power rule and then the chain rule. So this becomes x times 3 f of 5x squared times f prime of 5x times 5 by the chain rule. Then plus f of 5x cubed times 1, which is the derivative of x. So this is the advantage of working in pieces at a time. Now right here, I know that the derivative with respect to x of f is just f prime. So I'm just going to replace that part with f prime of x. And what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to plug in the number -2. And I'm going to do it in pieces just like I did this here. So let's take the -2, since I want g of -2, let's plug it into this and see what number we get. Okay? So what's going to happen is I'm going to plug -2 in. So this is equal to -2 times 3 times the square of f of 5x. Well, I noticed that if I plug -2 in, I get -10. So this is f of -10. Go to the table. F of -10 is -1. So this is -1 squared times f prime of, again, that's going to be -10. So f prime of -10 is 1.5. So this is 1.5 times 5 plus f of -10 cubed. Okay, so f of -10, that's -1 cubed times 1. And now maybe you can see the advantage to working in pieces. Now if you multiply all this out on the calculator, this part anyways, right here, you're going to get negative 45, and then negative 1 cubed is negative 1 times 1 is negative 1, so we end up with negative 46. So this part right here becomes negative 46. Now this part right here, I just plug in negative 2. So what is f of negative 2? It's 8. So I get 8 times negative 46. Now we're going to do this part right here. So what is f of 5x cubed times f prime of x? Okay, well let's plug in negative 2. So we get negative 2 times f of negative 10 cubed times f prime of negative 2. Well, again, f of negative 10 is negative 1, so this is negative 2 times negative 1 cubed. F prime of negative 2 is negative 2, so this is times negative 2. Multiply this all out, and you're going to get negative 4. So this last part here becomes negative 4. Down here, this becomes 8 times 8, because f of negative 2 is 8. So now, g prime of negative 2 equals 8 times negative 46 minus negative 4 all over 64. There's a double negative, so we get a positive. This is negative, let's see, negative 320 plus 48, so negative 368. So negative 368 plus 4 all over 64. And so we get negative 362 over 64. And that does reduce. Let's see here. What does that reduce into? Well, cutting that in half, that's negative 181 over 32. That's what that breaks down to. If I did that correct, and I think I did. So that is g prime of negative 2. So this is how we break things up into pieces.